I am not a good public speaker. I am not creative. I am not athletic. I am not as good a performer as my sister. These are some of the labels I heard growing up and believed for years. These labels were not put on me to make me feel bad, but they were imposed based on what people observed about me in childhood. I heard them and believed in them fully. Why wouldn't I? My parents, siblings, and friends were just calling it like they saw it, and it felt good to be understood. But were they really understanding me? Or were they just identifying my behavior and mistaking it for who I really was? Today, I want to talk about how some of the labels put on me were holding me back. Maybe some of the labels put on you have been holding you back too. I think about this all the time as I parent my 3 beautiful children. 8-year-old Zeke is outgoing and loves people. When he was 1, we took him to swim lessons, and he greeted every child and parent waiting by the side of the pool. One of the dads turned to us and said, "Wow, is he running for mayor?" 5-year-old Havila is quiet and loyal. We sometimes describe her as a cat, because if you play it cool, she will gravitate to you and she will be loving and generous. But if you want her affection too much, she'll pretend you don't exist. 2-year-old Uriah is sweet and silly, and he loves his big brother and big sister. It's so easy for us to talk about how when Zeke grows up, he'll be a politician or a college president, and how when Javi grows up, she'll be a writer or a researcher. Based on his current personality, Uriah will be a contestant on The Bachelor because it takes nothing for people to fall in love with him. But this kind of thinking is exactly what I want to talk about today. I'm identifying my kids' behavior and putting these labels on them. What if, as they grow up, this is not who they want to be? What if this doesn't fit who they actually are? Some of the labels put on me as a child fit then and still do. I'm an observer. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a rule follower. But for the labels that did not align with the real me, it took me years and a lot of work to overcome them. And I've developed some principles surrounding each one. So let's take them one by one. Number 1, I am not a good public speaker. When I say good here, I mean effective, but also comfortable. Why was this label put on me? Because I'm shy, quiet, introverted. When I was in 1st grade, we had to complete an All About Me project. My friends wrote that their favorite thing to do was ride their bike or play with their dog or arts and crafts. What did I put on my All About Me poster? My favorite thing to do is think. I like to be left alone to my thoughts. My dad was a tenured professor and later a dean, and he spoke to me often about the world of academia. I started college as a religion major, and I imagined a career of writing and researching and only emerging to interact with the outside world when forced. If I had to give a presentation for a course, I was terrified. One Thanksgiving break in college, I had a presentation to give the following Monday. I wrote out every word and practiced it hundreds of times. I can still picture myself practicing that presentation when my mom came to get me for Thanksgiving dinner. Then I ate quickly, said, "Mom, can I be excused? I've got to get back to practicing." But after I would give a presentation, the feedback I got was always positive. "You're a natural, Tessa," they would tell me. "You didn't seem nervous at all. You're good at this. Could you speak for our group?" I started to reconsider. I also found the world of researching and writing and avoiding interpersonal interaction deeply unsatisfying. I changed my major to social entrepreneurship, and I completed a program that had me pitch a nonprofit venture, Shark Tank style, to a group of faculty and industry insiders. I overcame the label, not a good public speaker, with the power of and principle. Being shy doesn't mean I can't also do well in front of a large group. Here at Clemson, I work as the ombuds. And in this role, I create and give trainings on communication and conflict resolution and emotional intelligence. Last fiscal year, I delivered 58 trainings to groups of all sizes. I am shy, and I can be a good public speaker. Neither of those has to disqualify the other. Number 2, I am not creative. Everyone wants to be seen as creative. Remember those art shows in school where you hoped your work would be crowned with the blue ribbon, or at least an honorable mention? My wonderful parents oohed and awed appropriately at my glorified stick figures. When my mom threw me a baby shower a few years ago, we laughed at ourselves when we tried to create these paper flowers we saw on Pinterest. After our hilarious attempt, we stretched the budget and bought decorations instead. I mentioned I do a lot of trainings for work. A few years ago, I came up with a simple example on a single slide that encourages participants to ask questions before rushing to judgment. People will tell me, even years after they take a training with me, that they still think about that slide. It wasn't a painting or a sculpture, but it was an act of creativity, which made me realize there are lots of ways to be creative. I overcame the label not creative with the redefinition principle. I am never going to win a blue ribbon at an art contest, but I can be creative in other ways. And when I started to see myself as creative, I leaned in. I came up with more stories and examples that teach people about conflict resolution differently. I also started making jewelry. I'm not going to quit my day job, but I'm having fun giving gifts that I create. And a close friend asked me to make the jewelry for her wedding. I am creative in the ways I define it. Number 3, I am not athletic. Growing up, I did the sports. I was on a soccer team, a softball team. I did tennis and swim team. I sucked. And I took it hard. As much as my mom painted it differently, I know my softball coach suggested I might want to sit out the next season, and then all the rest of them after that. The weekend after that conversation with the coach, my parents were trying to teach me how to ride a bike. I wasn't getting it. And after a particularly difficult fall, I screamed at them, "Can't you just accept I can't do this?" I quit. And to this day, I still don't know how to ride a bike. When I was in college, looking for a healthy way to relieve stress, I started running. If you don't run, starting to run is the worst. It's not fun and it hurts. But one of the things I grew to love about running is that it had nothing to do with anyone else. I wasn't letting anyone down when I couldn't hit the ball, score a goal, or keep up on a family bike ride. I just put one foot in front of the other as fast or as slow as I wanted. Remember how we've already established that I'm shy? Running is my alone time. I overcame the label not athletic with the priorities principle. I will never be an MVP on a softball team or lead a bike trip around the country, but those are not priorities to me. Running serves me because it helps me process and show up better for all the areas of my life that matter. Since college, I've run 1 full marathon and 10 half marathons. I run a few times a week, or if I'm really stressed. I am athletic in the ways that align with my priorities. Number 4, I am not as good a performer as my sister. My big sister, Kim, started doing community theater productions in high school. She was in many, and she was good. When I was 10, I did Annie with her, and I absolutely loved it. But to my friends and family and those in the theater world, I was always my sister's little sister. After freshman year of high school, my sister had graduated and moved away. I decided to try out for a musical. I sang on my own from Les Mis for the audition, and I nailed it. Afterwards, the director looked at me and said, "Your sister helped with that, didn't she?" My involvement depended on and revolved around her, whether she was in the show or not, or even in the same state or not. And my sister was, then and today, a better performer than me. So I stopped. I pretended I lost interest, but I hadn't, and I was devastated. It took me 20 years to ask myself why I would let a comparison like that keep me from doing something that I loved. I overcame the label not as good a performer as my sister with the anti-comparison principle. Why was I comparing myself to her anyway? Why were the people in my life comparing me to her? My sister might be more talented than me. Who cares? There will always be someone better, smarter, prettier than I am. I am not going to let that stop me. Not again. Last September, for the first time in 20 years, I stepped onto the community theater stage again. I was in Oklahoma, and I had a blast. I will perform when I want to, regardless of how good other performers are. So let's recap. The power of and principle says that what we are is not mutually exclusive. We contain multitudes. We are beautifully nuanced. I can love and cherish people and need time away from them. What is something you think you are disqualified from being? The redefinition principle says that we can define things in a way that works for us. What is happiness to you? What is success to you? What is something you need to redefine in a way that works for you? The priorities principle says that we should identify what's important to us and do that. Let's stop wasting time chasing what we think we should do and do what aligns with our priorities. What is something you need to start or stop doing because of what's important to you? And the anti-comparison principle says that what other people are doing in life is great, but that can be a parallel to you in your life. Their choices and talents don't have to change what you do. This one can also be called the get over it principle. Someone is better at you than something? Get over it. Do what matters to you. What is something you aren't doing because people around you are better at it? I like public speaking, and I like to be left alone in my thoughts. I'm creative when I design trainings and make jewelry for my friends to wear. I'm athletic enough to leave my stress at the track or on the trail. I can perform in a musical, even if my sister would be better at it than I am. I'm other things too, but these are the 4 that took me the most work to overcome. Not to overcome who I am, because I've always had this in me, but to overcome the labels that limited what I thought was possible. So why am I telling you this story? To encourage you to think through the labels you've always believed about yourself. Growing up, were you called bossy? Were you called timid? Were you called girly, stubborn, a troublemaker? These labels might not be all bad, but they can be limiting. Do they fit? Do they serve you? What labels do you need to overcome? Because they are not who you are. Zeke might be a lighthouse operator, embracing a life of solitude. Javi might be a talk show host, enjoying life with all eyes on her. Uriah might be an astronaut or an architect. They can be whatever and whoever they want to be, not just what their early years made it seem like they would be good at. They can be whatever and whoever they want to be. So can I. So can you.